Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy what is it? Gap down Monday? Is it? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
yeah. Or if you're the VIX, it's a gap up Monday. But
Yeah, gap
I
up
think it's
Monday.
gonna fill it down.
Happy Moody's downgrade aftermath, whatever you want to call it.
Which is silly, really, because I guess I've heard my take on it is like, well, it's the third agency to finally get around to downgrading the U.S. Debt. Um, 2 other agencies already did it, so it's kind of like a nothing burger. The one person's take on it was, "Ooh," but now it's like we had 2 AAA downgrades, and this was the last bastion of, like, a AAA rating, and so now they've lost their last one. Whatever. I think it's already I think, the credit downgrade was already handled and priced in, years ago with the last one, and so I think it'll just be a
Yeah.
nothing burger.
I think eventually that would be the case. And as I made a few posts on Friday, basically stating that they really accelerated things into the weekly candle close just so that they could be far enough above previous resistance levels to flip them to a support. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing for the SPY now. So I'll just jump right in here. And yeah, I mentioned this 585 all last week, right? This is the breakout point. This is what I wanted to see, break out above that 585 zone, and we got it. And price is still 587.79 pre-market. So could we go lower? Of course. Could we even go back and touch the cloud? Of course, right? That 50-week moving average, there's a gap there still from the week prior. It could eventually get filled before trying to go higher. But this is all, in my opinion, still just a process of which was once a major support above everything, lost it with a V bottom. So back testing that major breakdown zone to reclaim it, I think it's bullish, right? I think this is a great development to go higher. So we'll see if we go to 585 or 570. I don't know, right? We'll figure that out later. But regardless, being back on top of the cloud on the top side of the 50-week moving average and in the vicinity of the 585, this is a great development for the future. And I do not care. And I always thought there was that possibility to go back down there and back test either way. So we'll just pay attention to those levels. And right now, it's fine, right? It's just a previous resistance trying to be a support. And QQQ, same situation. In fact, we are quite a bit of ways from the 497, the $500 range, and the cloud, and the gap in between there could be in the 490s as well too, the lower 490s, and that's a possibility. But again, things just accelerated to the upside. Maybe everybody knew this Moody's news was coming, so this would be a great way to spark some fear. But in reality, it's just doing nothing except a lovely little back test. So let's watch that 497 down to the 490 zone. Maybe back test the top of the cloud as well. That would be okay. IWM. This one did close last week above everything, but we are going back below the 208. But basically, we're in the same zone as before from last week, right? Last week's low was 205.39, and right now we're at 206.71. But there is still a gap here from the week prior, and there's also the 100-week moving average that is potentially possible to backtest at 203.03. So we'll keep that in mind. But this 100 week was a major resistance ever since it broke down, right? It broke down on March, flipped it to a resistance, and broke down now V bottom. So reclaiming that and retesting it as a support is perfectly healthy. And I'll do even SMH for you guys just to see that it is still above the 1.618. So we're going to watch this 237.75. Also, this 50-week moving average at 240.67. So no matter which ETF of the indices that I'm looking at, they are all looking like previous resistance zones trying to be a support.
Yep, that's what I'm sort of feeling with all my charts too. Just everything that was previously resistance now flipping to support. Let me show my VIX chart to y'all. Thanks, Matt. So here we go. May 5th, May 8th, May 12th, May 13th. The trend ever since the scary, extreme, absolute panic of April 7th, right up here. Ever since then, we've just been came through fear, it gapped down to fear, tested back up, ran back down. And yeah, now we're in greed. It gapped last week, it gapped right down. and ran right to my halfway point between greed and my take profits line. And now we're back up here, about the quarter way point, and VIX is already starting to come back down to fill this gap. So I'm expecting to see this just keep going on back down towards eventually towards the take profits line. So my recommendation is this morning in general, buy the dip on whatever your favorite thing is. Let's see. Wait, maybe this will work. Bitcoin. Here's a 4-hour chart. I like to look at the 4-hour chart a lot. I was tracking this triangle. It worked out pretty well. Broke up to the upside. It made what looked like was going to be a great run right up to the 110, and then it stopped short. I guess because it was low volume on a Sunday. And now it's testing out. This is the moving average 75 on the 4-hour chart, and it wicked through it, came back, was support. Now we're below it, but it's just following this trend line of support right here on this triangle. I'm coming right back to touch it, and if that holds, then it should go right back up again. So I like Bitcoin and all the Bitcoin associated things from here. What else? What else? Oh, and I guess I better do Tesla. Tesla looks great. Once again, I think I pointed out here on the 4-hour line, this gap that everyone was worried about filling back. By the time we got to Wednesday, the Ichimoku baseline had already mostly filled that gap. Now the baseline's well above that gap. I don't think it's ever going to get filled. I think this is sort of an island bottom down here. Could be the same thing with the SPY if that never tests back. Anyway, we're still inside this Darvis box that I drew from last week. Yeah, it almost tested to the bottom of it, and then we're back up here again. So it'll look great once it reclaims the 4-hour conversion line right here about 341.94. It did finally get that one wick. It touched that 50% retrace from the all-time high down to the most recent low here of 214.25. And yeah, I think it's time for it to test it a couple more times, get over it, turn it to support, and keep going higher. And if it runs to let's see, I've got my fibs at minimum of 382 fib extension on the right-hand side would take it to 396.36. And if my new idea about what Tesla is really doing, if I just call this A, B, C, and this is the 1, and this is the 2, and it goes to the 76.4% fib, then 578.48 is actually my very first major target for Tesla before doing a crazy run back to under 400. There you go. That's my short and long-term Tesla. So how about you, Matt? And then I can do requests.
Yeah, Tesla, I just made a video on Friday about it. Basically, I thought a retrace would be possible from anywhere from the 320s down towards the low 300s. So we could get that pretty soon, possibly, but that's also very healthy as well. But you guys can watch that video on my X. And I just wanted to do Bitcoin and maybe just talk about crypto a little bit just to see before we jump into the requests. And for my Bitcoin chart, I have this log scale 103,611 right up here. So this is looking like it's doing a back test right now. It was the highest weekly candle close ever yesterday, and now we're getting a retrace a little bit, which is kind of normal. And actually, even if you go to the linear scale chart, it kind of gives you the same thing. How it's just going back down to the linear scale 1.618, 102.076, and still has not even touched it just yet. But you see this a lot with weekly candle openings or closes. They create some volatility early on, and then they show stability later on. So this is understandable. I'll be watching this 102 zone for our current support zone, but I would love to continue to see weekly candles close above this 103,611 and just establish a base. So far, we got 2 weeks in a row above it. So doing a third week would really be starting to establish some kind of base above that. So right now, it's really nothing to fear, in my opinion. This is just normal price reaction where they kind of just accelerated things into the close. So now they're just retracing last week's candle. And the low of last week was even 100,764. So this is just still in the same range as last week, which I don't understand why people need to panic about, oh, it's going to collapse now, because it's basically been doing this for over 7 days now, like 8 days basically. And I did want to actually bring up the others chart as well, since somebody brought it up in the chat. I did want to show people what it's looking like too. And when you look at this, it is starting to go back underneath the weekly Ichimoku cloud. But I think something important here is happening with when you just turn on the Bollinger Band here, you can see the 20-week moving average, how it's really trying to stay on top of it. And it actually even opened a weekly candle above it, right? It's just getting some liquidity below right now. So it still has this potential right now to be flipping the 20-week average to a support. So if you watch the altcoins, if you watch the others chart, you can watch this 255 billion. And this could be some kind of stabilization zone for others. I mean, we do have that conversion line below it, right around 236. So we could see a little bit more of a dip to backtest that. But I think we're nearing some of the lows for the altcoins pretty soon. So I would not be too fearful with everything, because it's also this conversion line, previous resistance. Now it's flipping to support. This 20-week moving average, previous resistance, is really trying to stay as a support right now. So I think a lot of the pain is already priced in for the altcoins. So I would not be too scared about that. But yeah, go ahead and start the request there, tracker.
I like it. I like the Bitcoin chart. Also, the Bitcoin chart, it kind of looks like a big. If you like patterns like me, it looks like a big bullish W. Let's see. I was trying to do a little fib retracement here. So, Calidi was the first request we got here. I'm trying to pull this out. Let's just make this 500. Oh, too much. 450. All right. So, unfortunately, Calidi Biotherapeutics, I don't know what's going on. They're just not getting a lot of press, a lot of volume. They're suffering the problems that all biotechs often have, which is that they had to do a capital raise to afford to keep moving their operations forward, and then that moved there. Now it's below $1, so now I think I heard rumor that they're going to propose a reverse split for their next board meeting or whatever, and then that's gonna for a vote, shareholder vote, and that's gonna stress it out some more. So for the large degree chart, I've been looking at this, but I just drew on here like a smaller retracement here. Oh, and I just need to flip this over. Yep. So to this high right here of 180, $1.80, and all this is gonna, if they do reverse split, then I'll have to make a new chart. But yeah, it's trying to it fought with the 11.4% mini boss right here. You can see, and it just needs to get over it. If it can get over 11.4, then it can struggle with the 23.6 fib. And if it gets over that, then it should go to the 382, back to the 236, and onto the 618, which, as you can see, is almost the 236 here. So Calidi, if you're way underwater on it, like I am, it might you just buy a little more. The 618 here to boost up your shares. But you could wait until after the reverse split and then see what happens if they do that, and then buy some more shares to reduce your cost basis. But if this, then like if it does start to the recovery, this 618, oops, where are you? This 618 right here is 467% higher than where price was last time I looked at this. Anyway, to $2.54, about almost 500% higher. So big risk, big reward. Calidi Biotherapeutics. All right. I'll show my MicroStrategy chart real quick. You guys have seen this many times already. Go to the weekly
Apparently,
chart.
there was news on MicroStrategy. He's hit with a class action lawsuit over alleged misleading statements regarding risk and profitability.
The lawyers love to do that. Don't pay any attention to it. Let's see. So from the all-time low, the all-time high, and then this higher low here at 225, just to get to 382, we're almost there. Or no, we did touch it. If it just goes to 382, then it would come back to 351.22, but it could go 618 if this turns into support, and then 236. So that could mean it could go to 555.52. This is what I'm hoping for because I'm going to show off my MSTX chart and show you what I see there. So update. There we go. So I'm hoping it'll do this because on the MSTX chart, this has not even made it to the 382. We're still down here just getting off of the 11.4 fib. We turned it into support. And so 95.71 is my next minimum target for MSTX. Like it has to go at least that high, and then test back to 65.07 as support, which I think would match up with MicroStrategy doing this, going to 555.52 next. All right. You want to do your MicroStrategy chart, Matt? I'd love to see confluence or differences between our two charts.
Yeah, so we'll see. Let me just get my screen ready here.
I'll get IREN ready. I got to redo IREN. Actually.
All right, here we go. Yeah, so here's my MicroStrategy chart. We can see that it's going back towards the baseline right here, and 387.26. We'll watch that zone. But again, it's been above that baseline for the past 3 weeks in a row now. So staying above that zone is fine, but it is getting a little bit still extended from the cloud. So if it ever did lose that baseline as a support, there is a potential to go back down to retest the cloud down here. And if Bitcoin just goes a little bit further down too, that could be the reason why. So it's just still in another normal retrace, and clearly it's just getting rejected by previous candles over here, right? We can see there's a wick here, all these little this red candle, this wick here. Lots of selling pressure in this zone still with all of these wicks and these big red body candles. So with that said, it wasn't able to push above those 420s and go to the 476. So I think it just needs to cool off a little bit before going higher. So I'll be watching 387, maybe even all the way down to the 360s or 350s would be acceptable as well. But I think this is still a very healthy and very bullish chart for the future.
Sweet. Thanks, Matt. All right, 123. Here's my IREN chart. I just finished redrawing it. 23.54. So let's see, from where price is now at minimum. So I just basically I turned all this into the 1 and this is the 2. And so we're just getting off the bottom here. And once again, it fought with the 11.4 mini boss and it won. And now we're just the 236 is resistance. If you can flip this to support, then the 382 is next at minimum to 10.82 for IREN. Then back to $8.64. And then on to 23.54, and then back to the 764 is actually here, 16.51, and then this would top out at 347% higher at $38.44. So yeah, IREN looks great from here because once again, it's already past the 11.4, but it's still under the 223 under the 23 points. So it's great. The 382 is next. 23.6 will become support at minimum, and then this could even go to the 618. I see there's a sell order block waiting up there, and then maybe it comes down to the 236. So maybe I need to pull this out anyway. Yeah, it looks really good from here. So maybe it goes to 1433 for the wave 3 sub wave 1. All right, back to you, Matt.
Yeah, let's go take a look at my HIMS chart. And mainly what I'm looking at for HIMS is this fib right here, the 62.10. And it's right around there pre-market 61.84. So we're just going to keep an eye on that, the linear scale. But it is a very volatile stock, and we can see that if it does not hold that, it might need to go back down to 54 again, just in that zone. So we can just consider this still in the same zone as last week, really. But ideally, I would like to see more weekly candles start closing above 62.10, because if that's the case, then I think it can eventually go back to go up to the 84.78 up here, the 3.618 on linear scale. So very, very nice chart. big 4 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. So some kind of cooling off is expected. This is why it's not good to chase stocks, because when you buy tops here, when you buy resistance, they could easily go back and retest support zones, which would be the true opportunity to accumulate. Maybe here or even a little bit lower would be acceptable as well. But this is proving to be some kind of a challenge. We see all these big wicks right here. So I'd just be a little bit cautious right now until we get more in weekly candles starting to close above 62.10.
Oh, I just have to show my HIMS chart real quick because this one's really pretty. After I changed, after I made this my wave 1 in February and my wave 2 down here in March, what it did is it ran up to the 764. It did that super bullish run all the way to the 764. So my support target now is the 382 at 45.27. Now this could be a long wave, just based on looking at the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly. So, but yeah, I would maybe hold off on HIMS for a little bit to maybe take some profit, and then back to 45.27, then on up to 104.78. And remember, this is HIMS. It ran sooner than the rest of the market. It's a model of what some of the most bullish things other stocks will look like, but this one's like done sooner when other ones haven't even made their run up over the 382 yet. Anyway, this chart ends at $164.29 for the 238.2% fib. So let's see. That would be perhaps, if I'm right, it goes down 29%, and then if you catch it down near 45.27 to the top of wave 3 is 124%. So there you go. HIMS I think it's peaked early. Oh,
All right, I got some Bitdeer. So
All right.
BTDR also it had a really nice run recently. Big 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, but now we're running into the previous 2023 high back here in April. That's kind of posing a challenge. Yes, we did close above it last week, but right now we're kind of like looking like maybe it's going to open up below it. So again, another very volatile stock, and since it's very volatile, it could easily come back down to the $12 range again, maybe retest that. It didn't quite back test it last week, so that could leave it open just to go back down there. But very, very nice looking chart. Back above the 886 is good. Even back above that 786 was the start of being good, right? A breakout, back test, 2 opportunities in a row to accumulate down there. This is what you look for, guys, these breakouts and these back tests before the move happens. And now that it's up here, it's getting into a little resistance zone. So just be a little bit cautious at that 1475. And now the opportunity would be if it did come back down to the 12s, or if it eventually broke this baseline up here, 1692, then I think it might be good to go much higher. But right now, I just say it's a wide range. So expect some volatility, and it's easily could retest the $12 zone.
I just want to say that, yes, Mattsby's voice is the voice of a Greek underground god. It's very soothing. Thanks, Alex.
Yes,
Let's see.
that's
Here's
me.
my subscribers asked for Reddit, and so I did this Reddit chart over the weekend for them. And here we go. So after this is wave 1 in February down to wave 2 in March. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Kind of like HIMS. This one hasn't quite taken off like HIMS yet, but look, we passed 11.4% fib, and we got over the 23.6 fib and then tested back under it, but I think it's ready to flip it to support. So my next minimum target is 148.75 for the 382, and it could even wait. Do I have my no order block detectors on? There just isn't anything on the weekly chart. If I switch to a daily chart. Yeah, here's a sell order block up here near the 764. They're kind of between the two. So this could go as much as 764, but let's watch for the 382 first at 148.75, which is, again, this is a great place to buy below the 23.6 because that'll become support. That's like 31% higher to the 382. If it runs all the way to the 764 like HIMS did, that's 96% higher. So yeah, Reddit, I like it.
All right, I got a twofer here. I got the grab and the ACHR. So grab real quick.
Yeah.
There's no change from the last. There's no change from the last time I did it. And the 491. That's your zone to hold, right? It's a breakout of this 382, so just stabilize on top of that. Still lots of resistance above with all of these candles here, lots of wicks right here. So we do see, or I do see the resistance in the 520s all the way up to like the 530s and such. But 491, I want to see that hold. ACHR, this is a big breakout last week, up 50%, but now we're retracing a little bit. It got pretty close to 886 up here, so guess what? Resistance, right? It broke out massively, got pretty close to the 1408. It got exactly to 1392 last week. So it would not surprise me to see volatility in the 786 and 886 range. So yes, that means it could even go back down to the $11 range, or even back test the arc again down here in the 10s, maybe 1060s or so. So very, very nice looking breakout, but I don't like the breakouts. I like when they the back test first before they really break out again higher. So I mean, the true opportunity on this one was when it really broke out above this orange level again, because it was resistance a lot, and then it kind of back tested the baseline here, and then it just took off. So lots of telling signs it really wanted to go higher before this breakout on Friday, so, or last week, I should say. But yeah, expect a little bit of volatility, perhaps $11 or a little bit lower for ACHR.
A couple quick words about the 786, 886. When this is sort of like that rev up launch zone. So if it stays over the 786 and bounces back and forth between the 886 and the 786 for a little while, that's it going sideways to build momentum to pass over that 886. So look out for that. I think that's
Yeah,
to be.
it's a bullish setup now for sure to go to all-time highs.
Mhm. Let's see. And you said you got a twofer?
Well, I did grab and I did
Oh, crap.
ACHR. Do you have
ACR. I'm sorry.
a Netflix
I've
chart?
got
I got one if you
I
don't.
got
Okay.
I got Netflix. It's the same chart as last time I did this, and I just wanted to show. Last time we talked about Netflix, it was down here at 1107, and we are above the 1382, and this is finishing out my wave 5 to 1820 and 89 cents. So it's got another about 55% higher to go where it is. It could obviously, come back down a little bit, but it's not going to come back down to. It's mostly on its way up to finish out 5 waves to 1,820. That's my Netflix chart. Pretty simple. I could do Ondo. Wait, Ondo's not
Well,
a currency, is it?
Ondo's it's a crypto, yeah. I can take
It's
a
a
look at
crypto. Yeah,
Ondo.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just pull up my Ondo chart right
Sure.
here. All right. Yeah, I know people are talking about this one quite a bit every week on the show, and not much is really happening with Ondo. Not much at all. We can even put on the moving averages, and you can see how it keeps on getting rejected by that 50-week moving average right here at $1. So it's kind of range bound between the $1 and maybe the arc down below, which is like 80 cents, but it's kind of trying to stabilize on top of that line. So we'll watch that 89-cent zone, but it's really range bound for the moment. So I wouldn't really expect anything exciting just yet. Just maybe try to stabilize in this 80-cent to $1 range before trying to break out higher. So not much going on.
All right. I got the Boeing company here. And we remember how it had its great highs in 2019, and then 2020 big crash. No, not literal crashes, just the market crash. And it makes a really nice, compelling 1-2 right here for me from the low back in 2000, the financial crisis, 2008. So let's see if we do a minimum run. Uh, it did the 382, but didn't hold the 236. It kind of came back to 11.4. Let's say if it can recover the 236, then let's look for, oh gosh, do I want to do this one? 1236 back to the 786, or so the 764, and then the 2236. Sorry, I got the wrong template here. Yeah, let's see if this holds up. It's either going to do this or this is actually into a 764. in which case it would be 764, 382. Now that I'm looking at the sell order blocks, I kind of want to do it like this. The end result is not different. Just where does it go from here next? So yeah, let's look for, maybe Boeing gets a new lease on life and look for resistance again at 247.70. But if it can get over it, then 406.40 will be next, which would be from where prices right now, about 95% higher. Here you go, Boeing.
All right, I got IonQ here. So
Right.
we'll
I got
go check out my
QUBT after that.
IonQ. All right, IonQ. So it got pretty close to resistance last week. Got up towards that one level. That one level was basically the 2021 high, and the baseline's up there too at $36. So it did break out of the arc here, but it got close to resistance. It's now in a new range here, and that new range could be anywhere between this 36.30 down towards the arc to back test it, or the cloud down here in the 29s again. So this is a new range for IonQ, which is actually good because it kind of broke out of a old resistance zone. So another thing that just looks like a previous resistance zone, trying to flip it to support. So just pay attention to any kind of back test down towards the 31, 30, 29 zone, I think would be acceptable for IonQ.
Very cool. I got Cubit quantum computing here, and I'm looking at this chart. I'm thinking about maybe moving this up a little bit. So QUBT, after it's from, let's see, I've decided to make it from this low because it matched the chart better. Wait, should I do it from here? No, 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 no. Wait, here. Yeah, no, I like it where I had it. Okay, so from here to the all-time high, to the higher low at 427. It's trying to go to this 382 at 1379. And then, so at minimum, it will go, it does, another 12.5% higher. Now, if it gets over it and can somehow flip it to support, then I think it wants to go to the 618 actually. And based on this sell order block, I really do kind of want to say it's going to do this. It'll still come down to the 236. It's going to make this chart take longer though if it does that. And then up to the 1236 at 3508, back to the 764, 2332, and then wave 5 tops out here at $60.01. So possibly this has another 61% to go if it does get over 1379, keeps going. There you go, QUBT. I like it.
Cool. I got Coinbase on deck.
Yay,
I know people
Coinbase.
are interested in seeing that, but we got a breakout last week, massive breakout, up 33%. So expect a retrace, expect maybe retesting the cloud, maybe even expect 240s again, right? 247, 246, or even 245 zone, the 786. But that's the most important thing, guys, staying above this log scale 786. And if so, I think it's going to go towards all-time highs and beyond. So very, very bullish chart. Once again, there was a lot of despair down here, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, but it was a quick V bottom, and relatively speaking, that was kind of quick, even though it was a few months. But now we have something similar to what we saw back here with a breakout and continuation higher. But this one never had the back test, so that's why I think we saw it, and then the market makers just got really carried away and then went a lot deeper than expected. Like I think if that whole tariff scare didn't happen, this whole V bottom would probably never happen. It probably would have stopped like right around that blue level of the GAN right here. But now that we're basically on top of this cloud again, I think we can just look at these 240s right here to stabilize on top of. And as long as it does, I think it's going to go to the 300s and beyond. So Coinbase, fantastic chart once again, but nothing goes up in a straight line. So expect a little bit of a pullback first.
Yay. And to complement that, I've got my Connell chart. Yeah, I know it's kind of messy here. I've been doing lots of different things with it. But here we are from this high, time high, from the all-time low to the all-time high to the higher low at $8.74. It already won the fight with the 11.4% mini boss right here. And now it's run to the 236, and now it's ready to test out the 382. So I think it's going to go another 52% higher to $41.96. And then if it stops there, then it'll test back to 29.26 again, right about where it is now, just a little bit higher. And then on from there to the 123.6 at 116, down to 95.70, and then finishes up at, let's see, this would be 203.18 if it does that. And then once again, if it goes past the 382, then I think the 618 could be the next target, or even the 764, which would then make support the 382 here. But one crime at a time. Just ask me again after we get past 40. Once we get to $41.96, ask me what I think then. But I'm well positioned in this. I'm really excited about. Matt and I both really love Connell, so we've got.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll do one more before I have to go, and that will be the Oxy. The Webull chart is not enough chart history for me, so I'm not going to do that one. I like things with more history. So Oxy, we can see that it's trying to get back into. This is the monthly chart. These are monthly candles. It's trying to get back into the monthly cloud, but so far it's having difficulties. It's kind of getting rejected. But either way, this chart is not necessarily bullish at all, right? We can see the biggest factor of this chart is this blue arc right here. Ever since it's touched, massive wall. It's been a massive resistance. So even if it did get back inside the cloud, it has to overcome this blue level, or this blue arc, and this light blue level here, which is around 51.75. So I'm not convinced it wants to be a bullish chart just yet. There could be a reversion back up here to the 45, 49, $50 zone, but I'm not sure if it has much more juice left in it to break out above. There seems to be so much resistance in this zone, but it does have an ability to get up there again, but not sure if it has the ability to break out. And if it can't break out, we could actually see it roll over back down to this orange angle. And guess what? It's a breakout. It would be a back test of it. So that would be perfectly normal on the high time frame, which could take months or even years to play out since these are monthly candles. So not really a bullish looking chart. I would just be looking to break this arc at a minimum on a monthly candle close before there are any signs of bullish development.
Woohoo! Thanks, Matt. Let's see. My last two charts will be EOS, and I'll show you what I've seen on Bull here. All right, EOS. I published this. I posted this publicly on X, so you can find this chart. I think it's probably still wants to go to $7.68 yet for the 764 fib extension. Then it would test back down to the 38.2 at $5.37. Then run up to the. This is wrong. It would run up to the 1382 at 1140. Why is this wrong? Anyway, maybe I was just talking about like what it might do. Oh, because I was worried that 618 was going to be the top of it. Anyway, it should go to the 100% at 910, and then the 238 at 1743. So from where price is right now, it could go about 13% higher, test back down to 537, and then it'll have a run of about 112% to 1140. And then someone asked me about Bull. I tried to do a chart as I recall. Yeah, it's just a simple retracement chart. So it did hit an all-time high of $79.56, and then came back to, it's made a new lower low since then. So just look for a simple APC retrace from this bottom here at 1205. So it's got to fight the 11.4 boss at 1975. Once it gets over it, it'll sort of struggle with the 23.6 at 27.98, about $28. But then eventually it should get up to 53.77. So this just needs to go. Oh, actually, all I have to do is just pull this to here, like that. And there you go. That's my take on Bull. Just watch for a retrace of the back towards its all-time high. All right, Matt. That's it for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me this morning.
Yeah, it's been fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. So look out. Maybe buying opportunity open. Yeah. and just more and more good things for crypto and Tesla.
Yeah, no need to panic. I think even if things go a little bit deeper, this is trying to flip a previous resistance zone to a support, which is perfectly normal and healthy, everybody.
Amen. All right. Good luck out there, everybody.
See you tomorrow.